Want to have the power to influence anyone and take control of any situation? Today, I'm sharing 7 simple yet incredibly effective psychological tricks that will help you navigate social interactions like a pro. Use these wisely, and remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Let's dive in. 1. Avoid sitting in front of doors and windows. This trick may sound simple, but it's all about understanding how the brain reacts to its environment. Our subconscious mind is constantly working, scanning for threats or potential danger, even if we're not aware of it. Think about how, instinctively, we avoid walking down dark alleys or feel uneasy when someone walks closely behind us. These are survival mechanisms hardwired into our brain. Similarly, when we sit facing doors or windows, especially in unfamiliar environments, our brain is constantly on alert, scanning for potential danger outside or sudden movements around the doorway. This puts us in a heightened state of awareness, making it harder to concentrate or relax. So how does this relate to controlling people and situations? Imagine you're in an important meeting where you need someone to focus on what you're saying, or maybe you're having a critical conversation with a significant other. If they're sitting in front of a door or window, their brain might be in scanning mode, constantly distracted by what's happening outside. Their ability to focus on your words is diminished because they're unconsciously looking for threats. To flip this to your advantage, always try to position yourself or the person you're talking to away from doors and windows. Ideally, have them sit with their back to these distractions. This will help them focus on you entirely, making them more open and receptive to what you're saying. When someone is in a calm state, they are far more likely to agree with your perspective or suggestions. Use this simple trick to take control of the environment, ensuring that your words are heard without unnecessary distractions. 2. The Benjamin Franklin effect. Here's where things start to get really interesting, and this trick is deeply rooted in human psychology. The Benjamin Franklin effect is named after one of the greatest minds in history, Benjamin Franklin, who used this tactic to turn an enemy into a friend. But how? The key idea here is that when someone does you a favor, they unconsciously rationalize that they must like you. Because after all, why would they help someone they dislike, right? The brain has a funny way of justifying actions to reduce cognitive dissonance, the discomfort of holding two contradictory beliefs or actions. Let's break this down. You're in a situation where someone doesn't like you. Maybe it's a colleague who sees you as competition, or perhaps it's someone you've had a conflict with in the past. Instead of trying to win them over with compliments or gestures, you do the opposite. You ask them for a favor. And no, it doesn't have to be a big one. In fact, the smaller, the better. Maybe you ask to borrow a book or for advice on something they're knowledgeable about. The act of doing this simple favor for you makes them start to shift their perception of you. Suddenly, they don't see you as much of an enemy anymore because their brain rationalizes the situation. I helped this person, so I must not dislike them after all. This trick is brilliant because it works with human nature instead of against it. We all like to believe we're good, helpful people. And when someone asks us for a favor, especially when it's something we can easily give, most of us feel inclined to help. Once they've done the favor, they've crossed a psychological bridge, and their attitude toward you softens. Franklin himself used this trick on an adversary in the Pennsylvania legislature by asking to borrow a rare book from the man's library. After returning it with a warm thank you note, the two men became lifelong friends. Use the Benjamin Franklin effect in situations where you need to smooth over a conflict, change someone's opinion of you, or just win them over. Whether it's with a boss, colleague, or even someone in your personal life, this technique can help you turn enemies into allies simply by asking for a little help. 3. The power of a genuine smile. Let's talk about one of the most underestimated tools in human interaction, the power of a smile. But not just any smile. I'm talking about a genuine smile, one that reaches your eyes and communicates warmth and authenticity. Why is this so powerful? Because smiles are contagious. When you smile at someone, their brain lights up in a way that encourages them to smile back. It's an instinctual reaction, deeply rooted in our social nature as humans. Smiling tells the other person that you're non-threatening, open, and friendly. Now, how do you use this to control situations? It's all about timing and context. Imagine you're at a social gathering and someone shares a joke or makes a witty remark. They start laughing, and in that moment they look at you. That's not just a coincidence, it's a signal. When someone laughs and looks at you during that moment of joy, it means they feel a connection with you. They're sharing that moment with you specifically, and that's incredibly powerful. It means that in their eyes, you're someone they feel comfortable with, someone they like. This is why smiles can be so powerful in building rapport. When you notice that moment of shared laughter or happiness, make eye contact and smile back. You're reinforcing that bond, solidifying that connection. People will feel drawn to you because you're reflecting their positive emotions. They feel seen, appreciated, and connected with you on a deeper level. But this isn't just about socializing, it's also about influence. When people feel comfortable around you, when they like you, they're more open to your ideas, more willing to listen to you, and more likely to be persuaded by your arguments. A simple, genuine smile can be the key to unlocking influence over others. The next time you're in a conversation or a meeting, remember to smile, not only to put others at ease, but to subtly control the emotional tone of the interaction. 4. The magic of ignoring. This one might sound counterintuitive, but it's an incredibly powerful technique, especially in situations where someone's ego is involved. We've all been in scenarios where someone is acting superior, overconfident, or outright arrogant. Maybe it's that person at work who always feels the need to dominate the conversation. Or perhaps it's someone in your personal life who enjoys making you feel small. The natural reaction is often to either confront them or retreat, but there's a better option. Ignore them. Here's why ignoring works so well. People with inflated egos thrive on attention. They want validation. They want you to react, to challenge them, because that gives them more power. But when you ignore them, when you act as if their grandstanding doesn't affect you, it completely disarms them. They start questioning themselves. Why aren't they reacting? Am I not as important as I think? It introduces doubt into their mind, and suddenly the power dynamic shifts. You're the one in control, simply because you refused to play their game. Now, ignoring someone doesn't mean being rude or giving them the cold shoulder in a blatant way. It's more subtle than that. It's more subtle than that. When they're boasting or trying to dominate, you don't feed into it. You keep your responses neutral and unengaged. You stay calm, collected, and indifferent. It's almost like you're saying, you don't have the power to affect me. This tactic is especially useful in heated situations where emotions are running high. If someone's trying to provoke you into an argument, don't give them the satisfaction. The less you engage, the more control you retain. This technique also works in romantic settings. If you're dealing with someone who is used to being the center of attention, someone who knows they have your interest, sometimes the best thing you can do is step back and create space. Ignore their attempts to draw you in, and you'll find that they start coming to you, seeking your validation, instead of the other way around. 5. Talk during meals. Let's move on to a tactic that's surprisingly effective in both personal and professional settings, having important conversations over a meal. There's a reason why business deals are often made over lunch or dinner. It's not just about convenience, it's about psychology. When we eat, our brain associates the act with pleasure, satisfaction, and comfort. This puts us in a more relaxed and open state of mind, making us more receptive to new ideas or suggestions. Think about the last time you had a meal with someone. Did you notice how the conversation flowed more naturally? That's because eating lowers our defenses. We're not just physically nourished, but emotionally relaxed, making it the perfect time to bring up important topics. Now, how do you use this to your advantage? Let's say you need to discuss a sensitive issue with a friend, ask for a favor from a colleague, or even propose a new idea to your boss. Instead of scheduling a formal meeting in a high-pressure setting, suggest grabbing lunch or coffee. The atmosphere is naturally more laid back, and people are more likely to agree with your points when they're in a pleasant mood. Even in personal relationships, this tactic works wonders. If you need to have a serious talk with a partner, consider doing it over a shared meal. The act of eating together fosters connection and intimacy, creating an environment where tough conversations can be had without as much emotional intensity. People are simply more cooperative and willing to listen when they're eating. So the next time you need to have a crucial conversation, do it over food, and you'll notice a huge difference in the other person's receptiveness. 6. Speak with confidence. This next trick is all about how you present yourself and your ideas. You can have the best argument in the world, but if you present it with hesitation, people will question your credibility. Confidence is key when it comes to persuasion and influence. But here's kicker. It's not just about sounding confident, it's about eliminating certain words and phrases from your vocabulary that undermine your authority. Let's say you're in a meeting and you're presenting an idea. If you start with, "I think this could work," or "maybe we should try," you're signaling uncertainty. You're telling your audience that even you aren't sure about what you're saying, so why should they believe you? Instead, replace those weak phrases with statements like, "I'm confident this will work," or "we should move forward with this plan." It's a small change, but it makes a huge impact. When you speak with certainty, people are more likely to believe in you and follow your lead. Confidence doesn't mean you have to know everything or be right all the time. It simply means that you believe in what you're saying, and that belief is contagious. When people see that you're sure of yourself, they're more inclined to trust your judgment. This applies to every area of life, whether you're trying to close a business deal, give a presentation, or even just have a serious conversation with someone. The more confident you sound, the more control you have over the situation. Practice eliminating uncertain phrases from your speech, and you'll notice people start to take you more seriously, no matter what the context is. 7. The forehead trick. Last, but certainly not least, let's talk about a subtle but powerful technique for de-escalating conflict or managing tense situations: the forehead trick. If you've ever been in an argument or faced someone who's extremely emotional or irrational, you know how difficult it can be to bring them back down to a calm state. But here's a simple trick. When someone is angry, upset, or agitated, look them right between the eyebrows, at their forehead. Why does this work? When we make direct eye contact with someone during a tense situation, it can feel confrontational or aggressive. Looking into someone's eyes while they're in an irrational state might make them feel challenged, escalating the conflict. But when you look at their forehead, it sends a different message. It's still direct enough to maintain your position of authority, but it's less aggressive. It communicates calmness and control, and without realizing it, the person will begin to mirror your calm demeanor. This trick works especially well when dealing with difficult people or in heated arguments. Instead of fueling the fire with direct eye contact, you diffuse the situation by focusing on their forehead. It's a nonverbal cue that shifts the dynamic, allowing you to stay in control while guiding the conversation toward a more productive and calm place.